moment. We hope you're all doing awesome. I know it's been a little bit crazy. I noticed that the more we go out, and not that we really go out, but the more we go out, more things are closed, and parks and things like that are closing off their areas. So it's definitely a weird time. So we hope that these have been bringing some encouragement to you guys, and we're going to continue to not only make these, but we're even considering doing Instagram live things so that we can communicate with you guys a little bit more. I know that you miss us and we miss you, so we definitely want to make sure that we're getting you as much content and resources and communication as possible. So in this little Devo, I want to give you guys some encouragement today, because I know what's been heavy on me over the last couple weeks is for you guys, that I poured so much into you guys in the first couple months. I don't remember what I was saying now. But I just poured so much into you guys in the first couple months of the year, and not knowing that any of this was going to happen is a little bit challenging, because I was aiming to prepare you guys for life challenges, but this is something that I've never dealt with and that he's never dealt with. None of us have ever dealt with something this high scale. So what's been heavy on me is what it means to remain steadfast in your faith and just remember who you are and what your purpose is, even through all of this. Because I didn't want to just preach at you guys and give you these messages and encourage you for nothing and just leave it as one of those things that, oh, maybe I'll look back on this a couple times. I wanted them to be life lessons that you could take in and really just pull from every time that something like this happens. Maybe not something like this, but okay.
We'll cut it out.
It's okay. What was I saying? Okay, hold on, I gotta find my train of thought.
Remember, we have 23 minutes.
I know. This one's gonna be short. Okay. Yes. So yeah, I wanted to give you guys messages and life lessons that you can pull from whenever you're going to need them. And so one thing that I really wanted to hone in on today in this little Devo is the fact that whatever happens in this world and whatever happens in the physical isn't always what's happening in the supernatural realm of things. And so I know we didn't really get a chance to talk a lot about that before we got quarantined and we couldn't see anybody. But a lot of you guys do know that what we see in front of us isn't always what God is doing. And sometimes he's doing a lot more than we think. And so especially during this time, I just want to emphasize the fact that the Lord is doing so many things in the world right now, and especially I feel in this community and all of the people around us and in our church and in this youth group. Even though we're not able to see each other, I feel like the Lord is moving so much. And I just want to emphasize that even if we don't see it right now, we still have to remain steadfast in what we're doing. And I feel like kind of what started that whole thought process for myself was, what is encouraging you guys to remain in your faith and rely on Jesus right now? And there could be a lot of other things that you could turn to. There's a lot of things that you guys struggle with or might fall back into that we don't even know about and that your friends might not know about. But during this time, I know that it's a little bit vulnerable for everybody. And so I just want to encourage you guys that even if it doesn't look like anything is happening, and even if it doesn't look like, you know, God is doing this crazy move right now, it's happening. It's really happening. And the Lord really just wants to have you guys press into him during this time. And we kind of talked about that last episode. I just call them episodes, but we talked about that. And in this one, I want to kind of just read this passage to you guys from 2 Corinthians. It's going to be 4:16. And so it says, so we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And so that, for me, is so powerful, because if we look at the world for what it is right now, and we look at it in our own viewpoint, we can see it in such a negative way. We can see all the cases that are happening and all the deaths that are happening and think, what is going on? What is God doing right now? And I know for some of you who may not be at a level in your faith where you quite understand that God doesn't do bad things. You know, sometimes things have to be allowed so that his glory can come through, but God doesn't do bad things. He never wants to harm us or hurt us, and he would never do something that would put us in positions where we're going to be hurt. We're his children, and he loves us. And so I know that some of you guys maybe aren't at that level in your faith where you quite understand that, because for me that took a long time to understand. But we read here that what we're looking at with our eyes is not what God is doing, because there's so much that he's doing behind the scenes that we can't fully see and understand. And so we're not going to get the full picture. We can ask him for that information, but we're not going to get the full picture, because God is God. And we're going to see it because you're remaining faithful, and as a church we're remaining faithful, and so we're going to see this amazing move of God. But right now is the trusting, and trusting that even though, and like this passage says, though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. And so that's a little bit heavier than this situation calls for, but it's the truth, is that every single day things can happen. We're human. But as we're renewing our relationship with the Lord, and as we're going deeper and deeper with him, we're really doing the inner work, and that's what's going to count at the end of the day, is that relationship with Jesus. Do you have anything?
Well, just to say something real quick before we wrap this up. A good place to, especially in the Bible, to check out a perspective to have during all of this is check out Job. It's spelled like job, so don't be looking for a J-O-B-E. That's not a word. J-O-B, Job. He's in the Old Testament, but he was a very faithful servant of God, and so faithful to the point that the devil personally asked God if he could attack Job, and to prove to God that Job would falter if he was put on the brink of loss and everything being taken away from him. And so God will never tempt you or put evil in your path, but he will allow things as a test. It says in the Bible, the one thing he does do is he tests you, and he will test you, and he will put your feet to the fire to see where you come out. And for Job, he was more or less completely and utterly devastated by what the enemy took. In one day, his entire livelihood was stripped of him. His whole family was killed, and he had a huge family. Back in those times, you had 12 to 14 sons and daughters, and his whole family was killed. His cattle, his farm was destroyed by storms. All his animals were dead. His house was torn down by winds and storms and weather, and he had nothing left but himself and the clothes on his back. And in the midst of all that, he says, God, when you give and when you take, I will still bless your name. I will still praise you. I will still worship you. And the devil didn't win in that situation. And Job was blessed after that. He got everything back. I don't know how many times fold he got everything back, but he was blessed majorly for having faith during those difficult times. And I know right now where we're living is not as hard as that. People aren't, losing their complete livelihood over this. But at the same time, so, but you just got to remember that these times aren't as trying as that. Obviously, you're not losing your entire family, farm, house, land to weather and death, but it's still hard times knowing everything is being put on pause, and the whole world, not just the U.S. and not just Arizona, is completely on pause right now. And everything that we thought we were going to do going into 2020 is now being flipped upside down, and we have to cope and figure that out. But go to Job, read that whole book, and you'll realize the faithfulness he had and how this situation can easily be handled if he handled that. And I don't want you to think, oh, well, that's just the Bible. You know, that could just be a story. It's not a story. The Bible, if you look it up, is the most looked at and ran over and read over historic book in history. Any big historian, Christian or not, will tell you that the Bible has the most history of that time when it came out, when it was written, and they heavily rely on the history in the Bible because it's so accurate to what was happening at the times. And Job is very much a real person. He very much went through that, and he came out on top. He came out blessed. He came out highly favored, and he didn't give in to the temptations and the lies of the enemy. So just before we wrap this up, just remember that, you know, read your Bible. There's plenty of stories of people who have been through way worse than this, and came out faithful. And we just got to remember that these are trying times, but God is slowly building us up on the inside, and use this time. You know, get into His Word. Find a favorite worship song, you know, and throw it on while you're reading His Word, and pick it up. Just, you know, if you're not sure where to start, text us. We'll let you know. You know, there's plenty of good books just to pick up and start reading in the Bible, and you can find plenty of places that just will encourage you and lift you up and raise your spirits, and give you a kind of grasp on how to handle something like this. Because the Bible is living and breathing. It's for today, it's for tomorrow, it's for yesterday, and so it's always going to give you comfort no matter what time it's being read. Whether it's, you know, 1920 or 2020, the Bible will always have something comforting for you. So just remember that. But if you see little blips in this, it's because we kept getting doors opened and people walking in, so we're going to have to cut those out. But just know those blips are not because we were cussing and we had to you know, block out our cuss words. We actually were being rightfully interrupted by people in this house. So now, anyways, this one's probably shorter than the last two, which is good for you guys, so you can maybe watch the whole thing and not feel like you have to go do something. JC, we know that you like to run around and do laps around the gym. I told you, Shandy, that I was going to call you out on this one, so I'm calling you out. You better watch it, and, you know, we're going to know if you didn't, because your mom's probably going to tell us if you didn't. So, calling you out. And there's a phone ringing. We're not going to cut this out. This is just an example of what it's been like recording today. So, we'll keep this in here. Anyways, good thing we're already done, but that's there now.
This is like real life recording stuff.
We just gave you examples of things that interrupted the recording, and then the phone rings. So there you go. But anyways, we're recording in a house. You have to be prepared for things to happen. Yep. Because we don't have a church building or a studio to do this in, so we got to do it right here in our living room, in our kitchen, and hope that it goes well. But anyways, that's all I have to say. So
okay, I do just want to add one more thing. I just wanted to read you guys this verse because you know how I am.
You could have looked it up while I was talking.
Huh? I know I could have looked it up, but it's on my phone. It's fine. So Psalms 119. Wow, that was hard. Verse 90 says, "Your faithfulness is for all generations. You establish the earth and it stands firm." And so I just want to encourage you guys, especially in this video, God is faithful, and it's a generational kind of faithful. It doesn't just stop. He's not, done with this generation, as he should probably be, but he's not just done with your generation. He's not doing anything to harm you guys. He's faithful, and whatever he's spoken to you, even at the beginning of the year, I know a lot of you guys told me things that he had put on your heart. That is still valid, and God is still faithful, and he is true to what he has spoken to you. And so I just want to encourage you guys, keep feeding what God has put inside of you. Keep reaching out to him, keep relying on him, because whatever happens when this quarantine is over and everything else, we're going to need you more than ever, really. If we're going to see this massive move of God that we're planning for and that we are believing for, we're going to need you guys to come out of this with cultivated spirits that know where their relationship is with Jesus. And so I just want to encourage you guys that he is faithful and he is true to everything that he's spoken to you, especially now more than ever. He does not just disappear when things get hard. And I know Matt said before, like, this stuff doesn't catch him off guard. He's ready for this. He's ready for whatever the enemy wants to try and do to throw you guys off. But we just want to encourage you guys. So do you want to pray us out?
Sure.
Okay.
Alright guys, well, if you're in your living room, we'll know if you didn't bow your head. We're going to feel it in the force of Jesus. We'll know that you didn't do it. We'll feel a disturbance that you didn't bow your head during this prayer. So, bow your head and close your eyes. We're going to know if your eyes weren't closed, if you're just looking at your phone while I was praying. God sees you.
It's weird to watch us while we're praying.
God sees you, and I see you. So, I'm going to pray. I'm watching you. I'm going to stare at the camera while I pray so I know that you're not, see if your head's actually bowed. Anyways, Shandy. Anyways, so God, we come before you. We just thank you for this opportunity again to put out this video and still connect with these youth kids, even through these trying times. And God, I pray that this Devo and this word would just encourage them, and that they would just feel like, through you they can do anything right now, God, and that they don't have to worry. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Anyways, we are going to upload this tonight, so you'll probably see that when you watch it, that I just said that. And we're doing one Saturday, so we'll have another one Saturday. We'll try to get it done earlier in the day so that it's actually up on Saturday, not Sunday morning, because the Wi-Fi again sucks, and it takes forever. It takes 4 hours for a 10-minute video to upload. So be ready for the next video, and we will be doing a Instagram live or Zoom, depending on your choice.
Yes.
Tomorrow, so you just can see your guys' faces and connect with you guys on
tomorrow,
face-to-face.
5:30.
Face-to-face level.
PM.
So
Arizona Standard Time.
that's not a thing. We're on Mountain Standard Time.
That's it.
And we are going to be trying to figure out a way to do something outside of the house.
Yeah.
We've been getting texts from people, mainly Chance, that want to do stuff, even though there's nothing to do because everything's closed. But we will try to figure out something we can do. The Stray Lakes are cautioned off, so that's kind of hard. But there's a few parks in Goodyear and Avondale. Oh yeah, but there's a few parks in Goodyear and Avondale that are still technically open. We don't know. Could be different by next week, but we'll see how that works and how that pans out. Also, my mom just reminded me that we have our Good Friday drive-through prayer and communion on Friday from 4 to 7. We'll be there doing worship, so you'll be able to see us if you come by. We'll just be doing a drive-through. It's going to be at if you know Kevin and Angela from the church, it's going to be
Shandy's parents.
Yeah, they're going to be it's going to be at their house because they have a big front yard. So they're going to be driving through the front yard, and we'll be giving you, we'll be praying for you if you need it, handing you communion. So bread and juice, so you guys can do communion with us. And we know we'll be wearing gloves, we're wearing masks. It's not like we're going to be touching you. And so if your parents are watching this right now, you can feel safe knowing your kids aren't going to be like exposed to face-to-face contact with people. We will be wearing the proper stuff, and we will have Germ-X and everything and soap and stuff on hand so that we can clean ourselves in between people, so that we're not transferring germs from car to car. But that is happening. So if you're watching this, No, Friday 4 to 7, doing the drive-through. If you want to come, if you want to come and help, let us know and we'll figure out something for you to do. If you just want to come and say hey, come and say hey. We're gonna be there for 3 hours, so we're just having a good time. Anyways, peace out. We'll see you tomorrow night on Zoom or Instagram.
Yes.